The first topic in control accounts is trade receivables control ledger, sometimes also called debtors control ledger. Now, when we are talking about trade receivables control ledger, a business needs to have complete control over its credit customers. They want to see that which of the customers have not paid in time, so that they can be dealt with in an appropriate way. For that matter, aging of trade receivables is supposed to be done. So we are basically going to see that how many of them have not paid within the last 30 days or 60 days, how many of them are older than 90 days, so that we can deal with them accordingly. And all this information is basically available through trade receivables control ledger. Now, trade receivables, because they are current assets, they are supposed to be received within the next 1 year or so, ideally less than that. But in order to take complete control on them, you are going to basically have a summarized version of them in the form of a trade receivables control ledger. So since they are current assets, they are debit in nature. So the balance is going to be brought down on the debit side of the control ledger. As you know, any ledger is a T account which has two sides: a debit side, which is the left side, and the credit side, which is the right side. So when we are bringing down the balance of trade receivables control ledger, it is going to be brought down on the debit side. Apart from that, when we are talking about the debit side items of a control ledger, if we have made any more credit sales during a particular period of time for which the control ledger is being made, we are going to record them on the debit side again. Apart from that, on the debit side, if any of the customers have if we received checks from them and the checks have been dishonored, the dishonored checks of the credit customers are going to appear on the debit side as well. On the credit side, we are going to basically record all the cash and check payments that have been received by us successfully. So the credit side is going to begin with the cash and bank payments from the credit customers. Then we are going to have bad debts, any of the credit customers who are unable to pay us because they have become bankrupt, or if they have left the country, or due to some other reason we have lost hope of recovering money from some of our credit customers. They become our bad debts and they appear on the credit side. If any cash discount has been provided to some of the credit customers on receipt of payment, that is going to appear on the credit side as well. Apart from that, some contra entries are going to appear on the credit side of the debtor control ledger. That is basically an entry in which, if a person is simultaneously our debtor as well as creditor, that is, he's our supplier and our customer simultaneously, so sometimes we are going to cancel out the payments which were supposed to be paid to a supplier against the payment which was to be received from a customer, because the person is both at the same time. That is why we can cancel out these payments, and these are called contra entries. In short, all the items which increase the trade receivable of a business, they are going to appear on the debit side of a control ledger, and all the items which are going to reduce the trade receivables are going to come on the credit side of control ledger, that is trade receivables control ledger. And if any balance is going to be left, obviously we are going to make a total of the debit side of debtors control ledger, that is trade receivables control ledger. The debit side is going to be totaled, and then from it we are going to take away the credit side balance, the credit side total. And for example, if the debit side total is 1000 and the credit side total is 800, then 200 is going to be the balance carried down, which is going to appear on the credit side of trade receivables control ledger, and then eventually it will be brought down at the beginning of the next month to the original debit side.